Hello, universe. Welcome to Off the Rails with Tom and Mark.
Welcome back, universe, to Off the Rails with Tom and Mark, episode 102, our first ever 102nd bonus episode.
This is a bonus episode right away?
Oh, shit.
Yeah, you see, you screwed up. And I was worried about the clipboard.
I was worried about the clipboard for you.
Way to go, Tom.
Coming to you.
Live from the Coldwell Banker Home Sale Realty Studios in beautiful downtown Grafton.
And we're here today. Thank you very much for coming. Dr. Love, Tania, the sex therapist.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you so much.
I'm glad you guys fixed your sign before.
We did fix the sign. If you're looking to buy or sell a home or interested in a career in real estate, email Roy at cbhsr.com, or give him a call, 414-235-0763. They'd love to be your go-to for all your real estate needs. And Jeff, you're helping us move in a couple weeks here.
Yes, I am. Begrudgingly a little bit, but yeah, you're here.
Come on, I helped you move like 9 times.
That's because you lived in my basement.
Well, I had to go too. I carried more than just my stuff.
I was going to say, are you just the guy with the truck? Because the guy with the truck,
Yeah, well, I am now. And
He's got a huge truck and a little place in the back for it.
I'm not compensating for stuff. It's fine.
Why is the bed of your truck so small?
I don't need a big bed. It's not the size that matters, Tom.
All right.
It's how you use it.
That's right.
Yeah, well, speaking of that, we're going to save your marriage today, Jeff.
All right. I mean,
We got a sex therapist here. Let's see, you're a sex therapist, you're a vocational therapist, or vocational rehabilitationist,
Yes.
and also a burlesque dancer, and we just found out dabble in stand-up comedian.
Yes. I'm also a landlord, a happy puppy mom, and a general person in society that gets called out for random tasks. So,
Excellent. How'd your burlesque show go?
It was amazing. We just had one this past Friday, and I had an opportunity to dance a couple of numbers. One was a solo, one was a group number, and then I also emceed one of the acts. And I really enjoy getting a chance to MC because in my work I spend a lot of time listening, and there's often times when people don't get a chance to hear me talk, and so it was nice to be able to talk and have people have to listen to me because they didn't have a microphone.
Did you tell them, like, you're going to listen to me because I have the microphone?
No, I was much more gentle
and
Gentle, Jeff.
Very forceful.
All
Sorry.
right, we're also here with the man who puts Burley in burlesque, the local legend, Jeff Krieger. Today we're going to talk about plastic surgery to fix resting bitch face.
There's surgery for that.
Yep, you won't be able to unsee the Chicago Bulls logo, London's new Vagina Museum, a gay bank, Tinder original content, movies, Area 51 bummer, a city in Colorado frees the nip finally. But first, we're going to have the sexy hot seat, the hot seat questions. Molly, do you have new music for me?
New music?
We were supposed to have new hot seat music?
No.
Like you guys. So no new music?
No, I have
Love
not
it.
gotten anything.
Let's just stick with the same. Well, like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Let's just kind of stick with the old music.
I'll just suffer in silence.
It's not my fault.
normal.
Should
Here
I
we
feel
go.
any sense of concern just by the lack of organization? Or?
Suffer
No, you're
in
good.
silence. No, we bought money spent money to buy a new sound for the hot seat, and 2 weeks gone by. Well,
She's been busy, Tom.
I guess.
All right.
She's getting a new house.
I wasn't in charge of that. I haven't gotten it back yet.
All right, are you ready for the hot seat? These are just random questions. No rhyme or reason. I think of them, and we go.
All right, let's try it.
All right, how many expired items are in your fridge right now?
More than 4, less than 75.
All right.
Solid answer.
If it was acceptable to groom other people's bodies in public, what would you be doing the most to people?
I'm definitely a girl, so probably popping zits.
Oh, Molly likes to pop zits too.
Yeah.
Plucking eyebrow. I think I would slap some lotion on somebody's elbow walking
Ashy
by.
elbows.
Just hit them with it, because then if they wipe it off, they're doing what I want anyway.
Right.
Just slap a glob of lotion on them. Like, there you go, buddy.
I also definitely feel that the random eyebrow hair that's longer than any hair in your
The
head.
rogue?
Yeah, the rogue one.
My-
I would feel way comfortable being the one with the tweezer to be like, let me just.
My
Okay.
wife does that to me all the time. Kind of makes. I'm just sitting there. I'm just like pouting while she does it.
That's love.
So I'm dating someone right now that has the tendency of the rogue nose hairs.
Oh.
And I'll be like, you have a rogue nose hair, and he'll be like, just pull it, and I'm like, no, absolutely not.
We're not there
so
yet.
bad.
We're
Right.
not there yet.
And then he'll just pull him himself and like not even flinch, and I assume there's something wrong with him because of this.
Yeah,
Like,
there's
yeah,
no
I'd be worried.
scar tissue on the brain or something.
right? Olfactory senses
doesn't
are
hurt that bad to just pluck a hair
out of the nose. No,
No.
I disagree with you 100% on that.
It does hurt.
All right. What are you freakishly bad at? For example, Einstein couldn't tie his shoes.
So there's a couple things that I'm freakishly bad at. One is definitely showing up on time.
Okay.
Like that's
and Jeff was here early, the first time he's ever been here.
I know, and I
early.
was late today, and I was trying to be early. So being on time is definitely something that I kind of suck at. I also, interestingly enough, am dyslexic, and so even though I've got this far in my career, I am not the best reader or speller in the world.
That's a sign of intelligence, right? Spelling logically.
It kind of is. In fact, you mentioned Einstein, and he was dyslexic, supposedly. So
I've heard that.
Besides your own, how many phone numbers do you remember?
do they count if they're still active or not?
You remember like your childhood phone number?
Yeah, I remember my childhood phone number and my second childhood phone number because I lived on a farm until I was 6, and that phone number I still know. And then my house that I lived in my like majority of middle school, teenage years, and then my own, my brother's, my father's.
Mm-hmm.
That would be it, and my work number. So
Okay. But when you were younger, you remembered a lot more numbers, didn't you now?
well, of course, because we didn't have these amazing things that allowed us
We
to.
had to remember the numbers.
Right?
I always had a sheet of paper with like everyone's phone number written on it that I would just leave in my wallet whenever I went anywhere.
There you go, Jeff.
Yeah.
Do you know the interesting thing about phone numbers is the 7, like patterns of 7 are one of the most effective ways to create memory patterns in our brains.
Chunking, it's called in psychology.
Yes, it is. So like
Fucking didn't know that. I'm learning
3,
shit today.
2,
I like
2.
it.
Yep. So the phone numbers were designed to be, easily remembered. And
You don't
now we
say
don't have
like
to
305 million for is my
Right.
my number,
Okay, so me stopping in random spots to fuck with
Throws
people.
people off.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I like doing that.
At what age do you become an adult?
emotionally, mentally,
There you
physically,
go.
or sexually.
Whoa, all of them. Rattle it off.
I would say that we become sexually like explorative anywhere after 13, even sometimes a little younger than that. The ability to become a sexually adult is ongoing. I've met individuals that were 16 and probably knew more about sex than I do. And then I've met individuals that were in their 50s and 60s and we're still kind of confused. So emotionally and mentally, I mean, they say that for men and women, I speak specifically of the genitals and gender that you were born with, but have a tendency to reach mental maturity at slightly different ages, but it's usually ranged around your early to mid 20s. And then for emotional maturity, also based on social experience, life experience, and I guess willingness to be available for emotional maturity. And physically, I don't know. I think we stay young forever.
There you go.
All right. What's the most ticklish spot on your body?
Way to roll into that one.
Just smooth.
Right.
We're gonna roll in this next question like anal sex. Well done. Sorry. The most ticklish spot on my body is actually the bottom of my feet.
Okay.
But I also am really quite ticklish behind my knee.
All right. I got the armpits going for me.
Really? Your armpits are the most ticklish?
Yeah, haven't you ever gotten in a tickle
Oh.
fight with Tom?
Oh, my balls are pretty ticklish.
Ticklish and sensitive are different.
Okay.
No, ticklish.
Very ticklish. Everyone is showing off scars and injuries. What do you show?
That's a hard question.
You're at the table. You're like, You're sitting at the table with at Jaws
Right.
the night before.
And
they're all
you're like, here are all of my best scars.
Yeah.
Well, I have a lot of them. I'm real clumsy. So that's one hard part. I have a chickenpox scar on the top of my head. I have a running through my grandparents' room and slicing the top of my lip open. Do you remember those old TV trays that had actual metal rimming around the corners.
Yep.
Yeah.
So like the edges of them were literally like
For
knives.
Kids, it helped kids go slower through the house.
Right. I think that was the intent. It didn't quite work for me. So that's a good one. And then I also joke that if you ever do get a chance to be intimate with me, I have a scar in the inside of my upper thigh from a bike accident that it wasn't a major one. I just like slipped, and all my accidents aren't major because I'm still here. So, but yeah, I have a scar in the inside of my thigh.
Jeff had this eye thing when he was younger. Freaked everybody out. He had like a tennis ball.
It was 4th of July, and I caught a tennis ball in the fucking eye. And it wound up being a 8-ball hyphema. So there was blood in the front chamber of my eye.
Right.
They
So
flew in doctors to look at his
they
eye.
fly in doctors. It
From
was
all around the globe.
Shut up.
Swarmed your freak eye.
So yeah, I had to sit and sleep in a recliner for 2 to 3 weeks till the blood drained out, and it could have been serious, Tom. I could have lost my eyesight, you fucker.
I know, but I came over and you got this one fucking eye. Don't look at me with that thing.
So when did you decide to teach your eye sockets to catch balls?
Yeah.
I was preparing for an intimate Friday night.
I
No, I'm
figured.
just kidding. No, it was we were playing catch with a tennis ball, and I happened to look away, and then apparently, didn't keep my eye on the ball.
Really? You got it, though.
Until it was
Until it was
on
actually
the ball.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
So I guess it was pretty rare to have that happen.
Have you ever been in a situation where you had to scream for help? Like, I was just talking with my dad with this story. I was wrestling in a lake with 2 kids, and we hit a drop-off, and they didn't know I couldn't stand. And I was really running out of air. I had these 2 kids wrestling me. I had to scream for help, or I'm taking the kids down. I was drowning.
I don't think I ever have had a situation where I had to scream for help. That's an interesting question. I've never thought about that. No, I don't think I really have. I've had situations where I needed to call help in, like, 911 or an emergency stuff, but never where I felt the best solution was to literally scream for it in that moment. So
With my last breath. Help.
I
was
did.
yelling.
Mine was also in the water, though.
Really? What'd you do?
I was swimming, and we were on like a pontoon boat. And I was younger, and I had one of those life vests that I, for some reason, had decided to go under the boat.
Yeah, it'd be cool.
Yeah. And then they started to start up the engine while I was under the boat. And I had to scream and be like, hey, stop, I'm under here.
Can I make a
I
recommendation
panicked pretty bad.
to you two?
Yo.
Don't go swimming. You guys both suck at it.
I know, apparently.
Say.
Don't go under the boat.
All right.
Don't go under the boat. We got some announcements, Jeff. What's coming up October 12th at 8 p.m. at the Arts Mill?
That would be your our comedy.
Our giant comedy night. We're going to have the Teddy Bear of Comedy, James Irvin Barry, featuring Brendan O'Day. Special guest, Dana Ehrman. It's going to be a blast. $20 general admission, $40 VIP seating with a free drink. Pizza party by John's Pizza. And up front, sponsors are the 024 Serving Up Drinks, Sahala. You know what? I'll get it right when they get me the check. How's that sound? Fermentorium and the Arts Mill. We got a special deal for Patreons. If you want to save half off, just go donate $1 to the show, and we're giving half of the money to the North Shore Academy of the Arts. So we will give you our half of the money off and still give half of it to the North Shore. So go be a Patreon. You want to save half off?
Yeah.
I think that's a pretty good deal, right?
For sure.
What do we got there?
Jeff's drinking some fermentorium.
Oh, yeah, the
beer.
Fermentorium gave us some beer. Notice how I got their name right, Sahala.
Rubbing it in.
Nate says, go back, go Pack, go. What are you doing watching the Packer game, Nate? Come on.
He's multitasking.
Yeah. Speaking of Nate, did you hear who won Best Comedy Podcast of the Year?
Not a big deal.
Not a big deal. We may just toss that in there. Molly, I'm going to need my screen up for this one.
Okay.
You can't unsee the Chicago Bulls logo. When you flip it upside down.
It's a robot smashing a crab.
Yes, it is. Do you see it?
Yeah, I do.
There you go. No one's ever pointed that out before, and now people are losing their mind on the internet.
Can I just say, and maybe it's, the sex in me, but it really kind of looks like somebody, holding some legs and having a good time, and the other person is like flipped over like a butt.
Okay. Like they have their head under a pillow?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Pillow, blanket.
They're holding...
So the horns are the legs and...
Yeah, the horns
No,
are the
the horn
legs.
could
Or
be
no.
the arms if they got their head in the couch
Right,
cushion.
like
The ears.
arms. Yeah, the ears are the legs.
Okay.
And they're holding on.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
So I'm glad you guys corrected my image because, you know.
How high was the person when they noticed that? They're like, oh my God, if you flip that upside down.
Well, they probably were sitting upside down inside.
Or just had the shirt laying on a couch or something.
Huh. Well, good for them.
Good for them. You want to hear about some plastic surgery, Molly? That might help you here?
That might help me.
Yeah.
Sure.
What are you trying to say about Molly?
All right. It's a big trend now that people are calling in. They want to fix their resting bitch face.
I feel
Wait,
it's
what?
I feel it's something you can't. My wife brings it up. She's like, I have that all the time. I was like, I know, but I don't want to tell her that.
But does your wife...
Nah,
is that
she-
a blessing for
She
your wife?
doesn't have it all the time, but I'll
Does
be
she
honest.
want to be more approachable? I don't think she does.
I don't know, no, because there's times I get it too. Like people,
Well,
people
look
at me too.
I got a
and it's
picture of a before and after of a lady who had the surgery.
what do you fix?
Okay, here she is before, and then she got some resting bitch face
Hold on.
surgery.
Just like
They put it in your corner of your mouth and give you some Botox in other areas.
That's not also really the best picture, like example. They
Who
don't-
would you approach if you want something?
I kind of feel like they're posing for different, like, purposes. Like, the first person is, like, posing for a, I just found out I have herpes commercial.
Okay.
And the second one is posing for,
The second opinion said I don't.
Right. I just realized I don't have herpes commercial. But, like, I mean, it's not.
It's
But
not
this
super
is just
great, but
resting. This is not making any pose. This is the way she looks normally. And this is normal after.
I'm just curious. So, how much did that change things like when she smiles or talks?
right.
Right. So, if her face is now in that certain level of not bitch face, now when she starts talking, does it look like she's the Joker smiling or what?
If you tell her a knee slapper.
wonder if you go up
Yeah.
to her after she got the surgery and you're like, nope, still a bitch.
It's not easy to judge with just those photos.
But you can tell a resting bitch face. A lot of people have it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but maybe she's just in a better mood in the second picture.
No, she had surgery. This.
See, I just think the resting bitch face is a challenge. It's an opportunity for you to go up and engage with someone to see if you were able to like engage them in conversation and possibly make them smile. Does it still continue to be a resting bitch face or does it like turn into something else?
Well, what about annoyance at a bar by guys hitting on you?
Or being
Would
a
you-
bartender and having that face, because I do that all the time. Like, I judge people by what they drink too.
Yeah,
And-
you do.
No shit, I do. I openly admit it too.
What are examples of your judgments?
So good example. Some guy ordered. First of all, he ordered a Doctors and Sprite. To me, Doctors is menthol, the McGillicuddy's, the
Okay.
regular flavor. So I looked at him and I gave him an eye, and his buddy noticed it, and he goes, "Nah, he wants cherry Doctors." I was like, "Oh," because he didn't say that. And then I asked him if he wanted to side order a cock with that drink. 'Cause, and he goes, "No, it's for my wife." I was like, "Oh, I'm not
And
gonna."
she probably already has the cock.
Right. Then I was like, "I'll just make you drink it, guys."
Make your wife a
So I try to like make a joke of it too, so it's funny. But yeah, I secretly
Don't you like vodka and soda or something when you
Oh.
order it backwards?
when people order it backwards, yeah, I fucking hate that.
What's the backward or right way?
the correct way?
Yeah.
I always feel the correct way is booze first.
Okay, so vodka Monster, and people
Vodka
order.
Red Bull. Yeah, they're like, "Can I get a Red Bull and vodka?" I was like, "I'll punch you in the face." Fucking right in the fucking.
I know
kisser.
how I'm going to order my drink next time I come in. You're working now.
There you go.
I'll spit in it. No, I'm just kidding. I won't.
So I regularly drink like Captains and Diet. Does
Yeah.
it
Do you say Diet and Captain?
never?
See?
But I always wonder if it frustrates bartenders because I don't say Diet Coke or Diet
No.
Cola. Because I assume they know, right?
Yeah. If someone says Bacardi and Diet, I'm gonna pour you a Diet Coke, because the chances of you wanting Diet 7-Up, you would
Diet
say
root beer.
you would say that if it's something other than what it normally goes with.
Yeah.
Right.
I would unless it's like in an old fashioned or something, you need to specify.
Like 7 things, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's totally different.
Yeah. So I mean, just your simple basic stuff, Coke, and if bartenders confused, they should ask.
Yes, this is true.
All right. Surgery for resting bitch face goes between $500 and $5,000. I would.
It depends on how bad your bitch face is.
Right?
Ma'am, excuse me, you're on the top end. You have a really bad bitch face.
Right?
This is gonna get
gonna
your
cost you.
checkbook out. You don't have enough in your purse.
Do you ever think they just look at it and go, ooh, yeah, nothing I can really do here is going to fix that?
All the king's horses and all the king's men aren't fixing your bitch face, lady. Move along.
Just, try to be more approachable.
New Vagina Museum opens in London.
Oh, you now have my interest.
There we go. I love that new vagina smell.
Is there a dick museum somewhere?
I'm sure we could open one over here.
So
New Vagina Museum smell. So,
what?
So what's the goal of the vagina? First of all, are they actually using vagina in its appropriate term? So it's like the internal part of the woman's anatomy, or is it actually a vagina and vulva and
right here.
clit museum?
Yeah, it's the world's first brick and mortar museum dedicated to gynecological anatomy. So a lot of people,
the pieces, okay.
Yeah, a lot of people. It says for
fucking Rubik's Cube to me.
children. What?
Wait, this is a
Jeff,
museum
come
for
on.
children?
In Iceland, the whatever museum houses the world's largest display of penises, Jeff. Equivalent for vulva and vagina. So,
Europe is way ahead of us in
yeah,
certain aspects.
they want to erase
Absolutely.
the stigma around the body and I'm having trouble with that word.
Gynecological?
Gynecological anatomy, regardless of race, sex, or gender. So some people are too embarrassed about getting an exam.
It's actually a great tool because vulvas look different for everyone. I mean, some people have larger vulva lips, some people have smaller vulva lips, some they hang down, some they hang up, some they swing in circles. I mean, they're all
They're
a
like
little
fingerprints.
Like balls.
right. They're yes, very much like balls. They're all a little different, and I think that the challenge is good job.
Thanks. Learning stuff.
Just like balls.
Gold star.
The challenge is that there's a lot of stigma around, the way that your vulva looks, or how tight or untight. That's a bad word, but how the tightness of
Floppy.
your.
Is that better?
No.
How about loose? I guess
Abused.
we're not talking about balls. We went back to
Okay.
vaginas here.
Yeah.
But and things like, oh, is my clitoris hood too long? Does my clitoris stick out too far? Is it, does it smell? Does it have too much hair? Does it not have enough hair? Does it women have concerns about the way that their anatomy looks. And the hard part about it is it's not often talked about. And there isn't a lot of places where they can really understand that. Just like the way our fingerprints are, which was a great example, every single vulva looks different.
You get a gold star
I
too.
get one too.
And they're all beautiful in their own way because in the end, your vagina is yours. So if you want to play with it, if you want to keep it clean and that's your priority, if you want to shave pretty hearts into your hair, whatever you want to do with it is yours. And if you would like to offer others to play with it, I would hope that you would feel confident in the fact that they would do so for the enjoyment, not to ridicule or judge you.
Yeah, I don't think it's too often that a guy comes across one or gal and is turned away and just leaves. Once you're to that point of sex,
You just made me
you're
think.
pretty
I'll have to
much
show you it
committed.
after the show.
After the show?
Yeah, there's a YouTube video called. It's an older one. It's a comedy one called.
You're big help, Jeff.
Yeah, I'm fucking sucking right now.
Love to have.
I'll think of
Love
it.
having
Hang
you
on.
on the team, big guy. We'll get back to you, but it says warnings after vaginal steaming burns, vaginal fluid transplants we had on last week. That's a big thing for vaginal health.
What? Keep going.
Vaginal fluid transplants.
Yeah, I'm looking up. I'm googling shit right now. All right.
Good job.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to be a productive member of the show right now.
So I'm a little vague on the vaginal fluid transplants. Can you expand on that?
You need good vaginal bacteria.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
So if you're having trouble after you take, say, antibiotics or something, you can get healthy girls can donate. They use like a cup and they scoop out the mucus and whatever, and they kind of get a one-hitter that they freeze, and you can put that in your vagina to re-enter proper vaginal health.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you for telling me about that. I mean, I know that there's lots of concerns about vaginal health, especially for individuals that decide to do things like douche or are concerned about the cleanliness of their vagina and their vagina discharge. They're worried about things like smell and stuff. And the truth is, like, it's your body. It's going to produce generally what it needs to, but every once in a while something goes awry. And having opportunities like that to like rebalance it is great. And probiotics are also always helpful.
Yeah, it's like a.
Found it.
What'd you find there, Jeff? We're back.
It's called clitter. It's glitter for your clitoris. It's,
Oh,
you
yeah.
ever see that?
Yeah,
It's
we
hilarious.
I think you've showed that to us.
I
on a
probably
previous
have because it's
show.
fucking
Yeah.
hilarious.
And then you forgot about it.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough,
go.
I did know about that. So
Yeah,
that's very funny. Nice. Nice.
All right, here's
So that would be a just a stop for you. That would
What?
be a deterrent to you.
What?
glitter.
Glitter?
Yeah.
No way.
No, church it up. Do whatever.
Oh, I thought you were saying.
No.
that would-
It was just a comedy thing.
Okay.
Like,
Jeff, I found your Christmas present, by the way.
is it bells to hang off my piercing?
Close. Check
All right.
it out. Holey Poke. People are complaining about this.
What the fuck?
It is a selfie with
Hold
7
on.
different cards. Okay. This is going to take some scrolling. This is off the Sun UK. This is in Europe. You can buy this at Pound Town? No, wait.
Did you say Pound Town?
Yeah, I think it's the British version of the dollar store. It's Pound
Pound Town. Oh,
Pound
Oh.
Land.
Pound Town would be fucking way better.
Pound Town is what's happening.
Yeah, I'm just gonna head down to Pound Town real quick. Pick up this Holey Poke thing I just saw.
I'm just gonna head down to Family Pound. You know,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
a good place.
Molly knows it's coming when she hears the unmistakable drop of the fanny pack on the floor. Oh, shit, we're going to Pound Town.
He's serious. He took his fanny pack off.
That means I'm in
Does
love.
he ever leave it on one?
No.
No.
So there's a bunch
Just
of
spin
different...
it around to the back. Keep going.
So
It's now a true fanny pack. Booty, booty, booty. No, just kidding.
Now you're gonna have to keep it on.
I
So-
interrupted. Go ahead.
the Holey Poke is a bunch of pictures where you can stick your wiener through
What?
and take a picture and send it to somebody.
That's,
But the problem that people are having is this is in like the British dollar store next to other games for children.
Right.
So they're
So are they-
encouraging dick pics.
I used to send pictures. I'd send like the little
Oh, yeah, I got
the
some of
jigsaw the guy with want to play a game, and it was guess where I am, and it'd be like in a random bathroom, and I'd put my picture and my balls in it, and you'd have to guess what bathroom I was in. It's a game I play.
Shit, he's at my house. I know that toilet, Matt.
So the question was, did you first get pictures of multiple people's balls and see if they could
No,
pick
they were-
your ball out of a lineup?
No, they were just mine. Mine are pretty distinct.
Yeah. His are pierced.
Yep. So they're
Oh,
pretty,
that's,
yeah. So like I show them off a lot.
What kind of piercing do you have?
It's just a it's a hoop right in the middle.
Okay.
So it's like strictly decorative.
So you don't also have a Prince Charles or anything like that?
No. Not that brave.
Yeah, speaking of gay, America's first gay credit union gets the green light in Michigan.
So does that
Is
mean
it the
it's a
Fifth
happy
Thirds Bank?
credit
No,
union?
this is a bank specifically targeting the LGBTQ. I think it's IA. I'm not positive on all the letters that are here. It just
If you ever miss one, just add the plus on the end. That
Plus,
makes sure to
then
like
you got it?
include.
Okay.
Yep.
They say if they go into a normal bank, they will have the stigma and not have the same fairness at a loan. So this one promises not to do that. So I am not sure if straight people can bank there. I think so.
Why? Well, if you're, why wouldn't you be able to?
The other part is like it's not
Then
that individuals wear their sexual, connotations, gender connotations on their shoulder,
Right.
right? We don't walk around with a label that says I'm heterosexual and cisgendered,
Right.
right?
So I don't see the need for a bank like that, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Because is that on your credit app of what sex you? Obviously they got male or female, right? Or do they have
or other.
or other? Do they have other now? I don't.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you have other, is it going to sway your credit worthiness?
I think they're more talking about that idea of if you're going in as a couple to get a
Right.
bank
okay.
loan and you're an obvious LGBTQ plus
or getting a joint account.
or whatever, the concern that they're not going to offer you the best bank opportunity or the best rate for your loan.
See, I figured they'd just look at my credit worthiness and be like, "Nope, you suck."
They're gonna look at Jeff and be like, "Oh, you wanna be at the gay bank? Open the glory hole.
Prove
Prove it. Convince me you're gay, and I'll give you the
loan.
rate you want."
I don't.
The challenge is that gay is not actually like
Right.
directly related to sexual acts, because there are plenty of individuals that identify as heterosexual that engage in what others might consider gay activities in the bedroom,
On the
which is
down
really
low.
just like, well, not even on the down
No,
low.
just-
They just choose to be sexually active in a way that is not their identity or not how they choose to identify, you know?
Definitely.
So, but I think it's great that they have things like this, and the fact that it's bringing that bias to the public eye. Like, hey, if you are a LGBTQ plus couple and you're having trouble like
Sure.
getting what you need, at least there's opportunities out there to help you.
Does it say what
Yeah.
bank it is, or did it say?
They approved a bank that will be for that. I
Because
don't
I
think
know-
they didn't
I
say
know-
what
B?
type of bank.
Okay.
So Jeff, you're a big Tinder guy, right?
No, I'm actually not.
I
Actually,
know. I give you shit every time a Tinder story comes.
I know a
up.
lot of
What
a
do
lot of friends I know have been on Tinder and stuff.
You're a hockey player, of course. You know people who are on Tinder. You go from city to city playing hockey. Well, of course, you're on the way hitting every city with your nearby radar.
I didn't know that hockey players were like pirates. I mean, what does
Yeah,
this mean?
When we're on a bus, we got a lot of the single guys will Tinder the whole way up, and they'll find local
What do they call them? Rink rats?
jersey chasers,
Yeah.
puck buddies, whatever,
Puck buddies?
whatever you want to call them.
Nice. Okay.
So they, some of the guys have Tindered and met people up on Tinder when they're on the road.
Yep. Popular dating app is now filming its first television series. How crazy is this getting?
About what?
Yeah, what?
It's called Apocalyptic. Storyline includes a relationship subplot. It tells us a subplot that's not directly connected to Tinder.
So Tinder's trying to be the new Netflix.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
I have
Yeah.
a backup story that they came out with more since I found this story. Tinder is announcing a Swipe Right adventure series.
I was just gonna ask if you were.
Is that
gonna
like
have to
Pokemon
swipe
Go?
past your
So
movies.
you know how, what is that, Black? The one where you get to choose your own adventure?
Is it choose your own?
Bandersnatch?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I don't play enough games on my
No,
phone.
this
to
is
be-
a
It's a
movie,
movie.
on Netflix.
And
Black
you have
Mirror.
to use
Black
the
Mirror?
controller to choose.
Oh, really?
It's a
You
choose
get
your own
like
adventure
multiple
movie
choice options of what to
to
do,
see what the
I-
character
and
does.
it gives you a different.
I didn't
So
think.
it's basically a video game turned into a movie.
Yeah,
It's
you
like
watched
the
a movie.
Goosebumps choose your own adventure in a
Well, I
movie
didn't
form.
think Black Mirror was like that. I didn't. I
Black
guess.
Mirror Bandersnatches.
It's just one movie.
Okay.
So now they have one called Swipe Night, where you get matched up with your friends and you control what the movie does, and as you choose the same things, you are matched up on the movie, I'm thinking. So
Oh,
it's
so they're actually matching people at the end, like for dates,
yeah.
depending on their choices.
Watching
So
a
are they
movie.
like filming them, or they're watching a movie?
It's watching a movie.
Just
and it can
depending
be
on the choices that
random.
they make.
Like, should this person have cornflakes or Lucky Charms? Whatever you choose, the movie goes in a different direction based on that.
See, I feel like if Tinder really wanted to make money, they should take that concept and have a film crew with them. So they're like filming the people choosing the movies.
Well,
that are
everybody
filming-
can watch this on their phone. They're watching the movie at the same time.
But not the movie, the people choosing things on the movie, or choosing like which way they're going, and then how they are connected with people and how that happens.
Okay.
Because I don't know, I find it interesting, the relational dynamics that happen around that more than just what was going on in the movie.
Right.
So if they had it set up in like a place where they could actually see what the people are doing
Right.
and how like swiping choices makes things happen, it would be, I don't know, I think it'd be interesting.
Interesting experiment.
Yeah.
I know you're into that.
Watching people in true life experiments is sometimes kind of fun.
I'm always the control, never the experiment. Nothing ever happens to me.
I just don't see why Tinder would. I don't know.
Jump into that?
Yeah. I mean, I guess, but
making too much money.
I don't give a fuck about Tinder.
Time. I know, you're married.
Did Mark and Susan meet on Tinder, or was it a different
No,
dating
it
app?
was like Plenty of Fish or something.
Grinder.
Okay.
Oh, Mark's at this place right now. He's at the Area 51.
Are you
Storming.
serious?
Yeah. He sent
Doing
a picture.
nothing?
I have a picture on my phone. Yeah, wah. It's not as bad as we thought. About at max total 3,000 people from the 3 million that said they were going to show.
That's still more than I thought that they had canceled it.
Well, they canceled the festival. People still
So all these
came.
people still showed up.
Yeah, I got some pictures of some people.
What did they do?
There
They
was,
just
I guess there was,
stormed this little town and
They hung out.
played fucking hacky sack.
They hung out.
It was like Burning Man, but without the music.
There we go.
All I can think of is Princess Bride. Shall we storm the castle?
Speaking of
I love
that,
that movie.
I have a story on that in our speed rail after the interview here. So here's some pictures. They're thinking of remaking Princess Bride.
No.
Oh,
People
I
are losing their
how
shit
do you
about
remake it without Andre the Giant?
We'll get
though?
to that. We'll get to that. So here's some more pictures. Some people are dressed up sexy alien. Not many people come. Yeah, they're just running down the road. Trust me, she's not running in Area 51. And just not a lot going on. That's
it just
about-
looks like a random reason to gather in masses and be slightly ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not that I'm judging that. I mean, like, I support any random gatherings of ridiculousness, as long as they're not, infringing on others. But
Only 2
Right.
arrests? That's not a party.
Excuse me,
Right.
sir. You need to step back from the gate.
That's not a Nevada party.
excuse me, sorry, I'll just step back then. Not a problem.
All right. Free the Nip in Colorado is happening.
Yeah, let them breathe.
Topless. They lifted a city ban in Fort Collins, decided it's not worth the money to fight it, banning an ordinance for women to appear topless.
In what? Like anywhere? Just random,
Anywhere. In,
Like at a Denny's.
right?
It just
At work?
Can I
Like,
get the moons over my hammy? And by the way, I'm just gonna take my shirt off.
The interesting part about it is that, like, nipples, have you ever seen those sites that compare like women's and guys' nipples, and they just take pictures of the nipples themselves,
And you
Okay.
can't tell the difference.
and you can't tell the difference because the nipple, the areola, they look the same.
Mhm.
I mean, unless you see an excessive amount of hair, which you would then assume it was a male, not necessarily correctly, but like
Yeah, you can't really make that assumption.
not anymore, right?
No.
And so it's just so interesting that because women's nipples are located on top of breasts, that they decided we need to hide them.
Yep. In the
All about it. Let 'em
development,
breathe.
before the Y chromosome kicks in and gives the male enhancement, everybody is basically you start out as female. That's why we have nipples. Did you know that?
No,
We all start out as female, and then
I
the
just
Y
thought of the
kicks in and
Meet
tells
the
your
Fockers reference.
ovaries
I got
to
nipples
turn into
Focker.
balls.
What?
Can you milk me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other interesting thing about that is that you know that the seam that you can feel from your, and I'll use elementary terms, the taint up
Mhm.
along and through the like
Midline?
crease in your, the midline exactly, is actually where your, when you're in the uterus, that your opening grew together
Oh.
when you got the Y chromosome.
Didn't know that.
put into place.
Signals from the
Fucking
Y.
learning shit today.
Did you know that species are only supposed to have in a regular childbirth half of their amount of nipples, children? And then in a natural mutation, where they call twins, you have 2 for that?
No.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Did you learn? Nipple rule? That's why you see dogs. They won't have more children than nipples.
More. Yeah. All right. That makes sense.
I don't know if it's exactly half though, because I've seen dogs that have
It's
like
the nipple rule, but then...
all rules
So
are made to
that's
be
the-
broken,
what,
Yeah,
average?
especially nipple ones.
Yeah. It's the nipple
like
rule.
showing them off at a Denny's.
Anyway, back to that. How do you feel? Are we ready for this? Are we ready for the
I-
female nipple?
I don't see a problem with it.
I think it's fine. The challenge is that the more that we
Hold it back the
yeah.
way we want it?
right, so the more that someone says, it's just like when you're a teenager and your parents say you can't stay out past 10 o'clock.
I'm gonna stay out past 10
I'm going to
o'clock.
stay out past 10 o'clock, right? So if we say you can't show your nipples or your breasts as female, like everybody wants to show them. And then you also put them up on a pedestal, which makes them like, so that when we see breasts and nipples, like even the whole breastfeeding like piece is that we see them and now we're like, oh, I see breasts.
Finally.
Finally, I shall focus on them and not be able to move on in life. And if you bring them into the normal part of the world, all of a sudden they just become, an average Tuesday.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there's there's for it and stuff like that. I'm all for just letting them hang out. But I mean, are you gonna show up topless to pick your kid up from kindergarten or what?
Well, I would think it would be the same rule as like when men are expected to wear shirts. Like you should,
Right.
generally go into your restaurant, no
Sure.
shirt, no shoes, no business.
What about at the beach?
Beach, fine.
Beach is fine.
Beach is fine. Even I'm just
Extra sunscreen, please.
I'm not I'm not worried about the children because I don't give a shit.
Well, I think it's great for kids, actually.
Sure.
Like one of the biggest challenges, and you spoke about how the Europe and that area is way more advanced in sexual acceptance than we are, is that we have a tendency to kind of avoid talking about sex and the body with children because we're worried that it's going to scar them.
What about the kids?
What about the children? Right? But in all honesty, the more that we depathologize the idea of nakedness and your body being something you don't talk about, the more you give opportunities for ownership of your body, acceptance of using it in a positive sexual fashion later in life. It like becomes a really healthy tool. And it's disappointing that we can't have more of an acceptance of that just because we live in a very prude society. That's like,
I'm always usually the naked guy anyways.
Let your teenage kid have a glass of wine with dinner. They probably won't grow up to be binge drinking alcoholics.
mm-hmm.
If
You got a problem with binge
hide
drinking?
it from no, but
I'm just-
And
course not.
teach your 5-year-old that it's their vagina and it's their penis, not their,
Hoo-hoo.
woohoo and their wah-wah and their dinkle and whatever.
I've always like my friends that have kids are like, oh, that's your vajayjay. I was like, your vagina? Just use the word.
Yep.
Fucking just do it.
I do have a funny story about this, though. I had a
Excellent.
roommate for a period of time who had a 3-year-old. And before she moved in, I was like, I'm just going to let you know I'm against like using fake terms for our body parts. So if she asks, I'm going to call it a vagina. And she's like, perfect. I call it a vagina, too. So she, multiple times we'd have conversations where she'd be in my room and I'd be like, just naturally, like she'd walk in, I'm in the middle of changing. I'm not going to go, I'm just going to keep going. And so at one point she asked me about my breasts and she's like, are those your breasts? I said, yes, these are my breasts. They're bigger than mommy's. I'm like, yes, they are bigger than mommy's, but that's okay because we all have different size breasts. And she's like, are my breasts going to be big? I'm like, yes, someday I'm sure you'll have breasts too. And then later that week, her mom was buying tampons in the grocery store and she's going along and she's got the little one in the cart and she goes to like grab the tampons and the little one in a very normal, like loud voice goes, is that for your vagina?
yes.
Yes, it's for my vagina. Because you don't want to correct her to be like, shh, it's like, yeah, that's for my vagina. Is your vagina going to be okay? Yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
Soon.
Yeah. So, but I mean, I love it because she's not going to later be like, oh, my hoo-hoo has a problem. She can be like, my vagina hurts or it itches. And like, that's the way to like solve problems later in life and just be comfortable with it. But,
Excellent. All right, let's get into this little interview we got going on here. I got a couple questions right off the bat that I've always wondered about. So you're going to help me out as a sex therapist.
All right.
Why do all chicks want to bang a vampire?
Well, I hate overgeneralities, so I'm going to say that not all chicks want to bang vampires.
All chicks want to bang vampires.
This is not true.
It's not true. Some of them want to bang like
I was like on
Wolverines
Team
or other
Jacob.
weird stuff. Yeah.
Totally, all
Yeah.
the way.
No, you weren't. She made me read Twilight. I hated it.
Really?
Dude,
I thought they were well written, but well written.
You read it?
I've read all of them.
Okay.
All I know is they're better written than 50 Shades of Grey.
Truth.
Never
I haven't
read.
I haven't read 50. I haven't read that one. But
Okay,
Oh my
we'll get
God.
back to the vampires. The whole Twilight book was leading up to this fight, right? And then she got her leg broke and kind of woke up. And the whole thing is like, this guy's this style fighter. This is going to be, and it's going to be an epic vampire fight. And then she goes, what happened? Oh, we won. And then the book just like ends. And I'm like, where was the fight?
Did you read all of them?
No, I stopped at the one because that one sucks so bad. And Molly's like, well, you're going to have to power through the next book because that one sucks even worse.
You need to read all of them just to get
the second one, New Moon.
I don't know. It's my mom kind of is like, she's like, oh, we're gonna watch the movie, and mom's like, you should read the book, and she gave me the book. So I was like, they're actually not that bad of a read.
Okay, very disappointing when I was.
Well, you know
built
what?
up
You should
for-
be used to being disappointed.
All right.
I'm just saying.
Especially when you read books that are written for tweens.
Yeah.
You brought up that
Shut up.
question just so that you could harp on Twilight.
Fucking book.
That was your plan the whole time.
I mean, I've also read other books besides that, but I just,
Don't lie to
All right.
us.
Yeah, don't come on.
So
Jeff.
to go back to your vampire question, I find this quite interesting because there's a lot of books out there that are about vampires that are not necessarily tweens or books, and they're actually like erotica books. And the thing that you find that's a common trend in any type of supernatural individual wanting to have sex with them is that there's the concept of a mate, like that one person that they always like, oh, they're looking for their mate or they're seeking their one that they, can finally have children with, or whatever the writer's interpretation of that happens to be. But it's that idea that there's that one and the one and only. And I think as humans that exist in a world where monogamy happens and then doesn't happen, and dating happens and doesn't happen, and relationships, they change, that idea of knowing through a very like specific body reaction that is your one and your only is very like attractive. And then the second part that comes with that is often they'll talk about things like, oh, when you're bit by a vampire, they can feel when you're going to orgasm, or they can feel your body's reaction to you. And so it's that idea of like, oh, this person actually knows what they're doing and can get me to the like sexual peak that I'm looking for without me having to draw them a picture, pull out a diagram, write them a synopsis, whatever it happens to be. So
are men intimidated by you because you are a sex therapist?
Yes.
Yes.
So
like, I gotta limber up. God damn it. A game time.
I think the funniest thing is when I meet individuals in a public setting, and it's not uncommon for people to talk about their professions, and so I'll bring up, yes, I work as a sex therapist, and I generally get usually one of two reactions, and if they're sexually interested, that's a whole nother one. But the first one is, really? I have some questions for you.
Okay.
Because how often do you function in the world where you're like thinking about things like, wow, do other people randomly feel a need to eat immediately after they orgasm? Or does their spunk always smell like this? Or like, do they have trouble like keeping hard for certain periods of time? Like, people have questions like that. And it's nice to have somebody that can walk up to and be like, so let me ask you this.
It's not like you're at line in like a McDonald's or something. Like, hey, by the way, I just got a question.
No, usually that doesn't happen because I'm not, talking about my profession.
Speaking of Happy Meals, I was going down with my wife the other day.
And it wasn't so happy. So, can we make adult meals that have lube and sex toys in them instead? That'd be great. It's an adult Happy Meal. So like and then the second response is that, oh, you're going to psychoanalyze me. And then they want to like walk away, or they don't want to talk to me because they're worried that I'm going to like magically be able to tell how good, bad, or other that they are in sex or at life or whatever by like standing next to me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no,
that's not a good poker face, dude. If you see sex therapist, I gotta go. She's gonna figure out that I suck at everything.
Right?
She's gonna judge
you
me.
You just gave it away, man.
Right, exactly. And then the third one, if they're like sexually interested in me, it's usually she can teach me some things. That'll be cool. So the acceptance of being willing to be taught something is kind of neat in the bedroom. But I do have to say that challenge of coming across of, I'm not working right now.
Yeah.
I don't really want to teach you anything. Can we just like move forward with the activities? I mean, if I need to verbalize something in the process, just like anybody else, I will. But I really don't want to draw you a diagram.
Yeah, I don't know where, because you're not a sexual surrogate or anything, so I don't know why they would think you would teach them something.
Well, that's like, as I said, if you're in a social situation and it's not someone I meet in a professional setting. Because people that come to me in professional settings, often they'll look me up online. They'll be connected to me through friends that have worked with me before. And so they kind of know what they're walking into. But I would say some of the biggest challenges for those clients is that first appointment, because if you know that you're battling with sexual dysfunction yourself or in your relationship, or you're concerned about going through a transition, if you're an individual that's transgender, like if you have things that's pretty close to heart that you got to talk about, and now you're just meeting this person for the first time and you kind of know that they know all this stuff, right? and that you got to walk in there and tell them, I can get it hard, but it doesn't stay hard long enough for me to complete a sexual act with my partner. Like, that's a huge disclosure, and it takes a lot. So I just put it out there. Like, I give anybody lots of support and understanding, and congratulations for being able to like go into a therapist and actually tell them the stuff that they need to hear, because it's not always easy.
Yeah, it's one of the fears, like one of the shameful. That's probably why this museum in London is going to be a great thing, because a lot of people, especially guys, if I can't get it hard anymore,
Yeah.
what's the point of it? What's the
Right.
point of all this?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Or especially like other things that happen with like not even erectile dysfunction, but a delayed ejaculation, or like that ability to be having, penetrative sex with your partner and then not being able to come or ejaculate for them can lead to that sense, like that partner feeling they're not good enough, you feeling you're not good enough, especially can be impactful if you're trying to get pregnant or if that's the goal. And also that just sense of like, personal satisfaction, because a lot of times individuals find personal satisfaction in sex comes from an orgasm, and so if that's where their goals are lying in sex and they can't get there, that can be really negatively impactful for them. So
I'm a failure. Start crying all the time.
Yeah.
I don't know about that, but
Happy tears, sad tears, whatever.
Yeah. What are some of the most frequent things you get, questions you get asked?
Like randomly or
like, is this normal? That would be.
Oh, okay. Usually the length of penetrative sex is one of the biggest ones. Like, how long are we really supposed to be doing that, right?
Okay. I was thinking length is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, how
we're
long
two
is
guys.
your penis? Okay,
Yeah.
let me. I can answer. That's also a good one.
Yeah.
So average length, like mean medium mode of penis length, is about 5.25 inches. That's measured from like the. I don't know how to better explain this, and I wish you could see my hand gestures right now, but like
we can.
Oh, good, perfect.
Yeah.
It's like the base of your penis, so kind of like where it starts to come out to the tip.
The shaft to the tip.
Yeah, but it's not like the top; it's the bottom part,
Huh.
and so that's why it confuses people, because if you're heavy set, or if you might measure from like the top out, and it's gonna be
Whichever
Just
gives me
throw
the
you off.
whatever gives you the best measurement.
yeah, it's
Just
like
take 3 of them and take the average.
Sure, but bottom up, and then like there's a standard deviation of like an inch and a half above or below the mean. That's about average size.
Yeah.
And the interesting part about that is, like I said, weight can change the length of a penis, and because of how much weight you have, and that's pushing it out and pulling it back, that kind of stuff. But the other part that comes up is width. Like, a lot of individuals are concerned about, oh, I have a tuna can, like it's really wide, but it doesn't go very deep, or it's very thin and it doesn't. And in the end, just like penises, women's vaginal openings are different sizes, different depths, different so. It's really just finding the right match for you in that sexual compatibility piece. Because the other piece about it is that the head of your penis. Gosh, I'm just rambling. Do you want me to keep going?
You're good. Keep going.
Okay, so the head of your penis
Definitely. I'm not going to stop.
Need some beer.
is also known like the gland of your penis. The circle that goes around it, that's like right, like if you hook, if you're coming up from the shaft and you hook it right there, that's where the most amount of nerve endings are, is right at that bottom part. That same set of nerve endings, interestingly enough, if you were to pull them all together and pile them up, is what the clitoris is, basically. So if you think about it for sexual stimulation purposes, when you're having penetrative sex, like, men are getting a direct stimulation to their clitoris by having that penetrative sex, but women generally are not. And so, like, size can have an impact, but in the end, it depends on how that woman orgasms, how they get excited, what's important to them. So I put it out there that I'm not going to say size doesn't matter, because I think that people feel that it's important. It depends how you feel about your size more than anything else. And then the second part is, it really is about sexual communication with your partner and making sure that you are having a sexually exciting, stimulating, satisfying, and whatever it needs to be relationship. And if you're not, then maybe you need to talk to me.
Okay. I have the calculations, how you calculate adjusted penis length. Randy Marsh's formula of length times diameter plus weight divided by girth divided by angle of the tip squared.
I fucking failed math, dude. Come on.
That's
Okay.
adjusted penis length.
Is this like when you're trying to what is that rule about if you shoot bucks like big deer and like what the like size to see if it's a trophy or not? And it's like the width from like one tip to the other, and then how long it is, and then the longest one piece. And
I don't know. Tom shoots my deer.
oh,
Yeah, he eats my deer.
that sounds like a personal experience.
Oh, we have a good time. So,
What's the oddest weird? Let's go weirdest. What's the weirdest
yeah, let's go weirdest.
question you've ever been asked?
Weirdest question?
Yeah.
That's a hard one. So I've met with some people that have some different types of fetishes,
Okay.
and different types of fetishes can be a challenge sometimes.
If you can think it, it's a fetish for
It's
somebody.
pretty much true.
That's what we learned.
Absolutely. And the hard part is I'm generally a person that's very, if it works in your world and you can do it consensually and you're not hurting anyone, then let's figure out how to make that fetish be okay.
Like when they leave, do you just go, what the fuck?
Oh my God. Bottle of Jack.
I usually am like, well, that was interesting. There are definitely times where I'm like, I guess like in my head, I'm like, I would have trouble finding that sexually stimulating. Like that's the part like that gets to me sometimes. But there's some fetishes that are not healthy for us or healthy for society. You know, you think about anyone that's has a pedophilia tendency,
Yeah,
like that's
criminal.
a criminal stuff. And then there's also part of like feeding tendencies or feeding fetishes. So those would be like wanting to be fed or feed your partner during the course of a sexual act, wanting them to be very heavy set during the course of a sexual act. Like that kind of stuff could be unhealthy because of their, body stuff. So like I guess the weird questions that I get is that whole, is this okay? Like, and it doesn't matter what it is, because it could be anything from, like, well, I need to have a shoe in my space with me when I want
have to wear a fanny pack. every
Right. I
time
have to wear a fanny pack every time I want to come.
Yeah. That's how you know whose turn it is.
Socks
He's
and a
wearing
fanny
the fanny pack.
Do you put your business socks on though, so they know it's time for business?
I got some nice Argyle socks that I like to wear.
I've never seen you wear Argyle socks.
Mark's wedding.
Just the
Okay.
socks, though.
It's the socks.
I've also so I like going back to that question of like what is the weirdest question. A lot of it comes down to, I asked my wife to have sex and she says no all of these times. Is that okay? Like, or we had a really, really heavy sexual relationship at the start of our relationship, and now we only have sex once a month or once a year.
Now, is that common? Questions like that? Like,
relationship ones are very common. Like I feel like people come up to me and ask me about their like sex in their relationship with their partners, especially long term,
Sure.
being married for a period of time is like probably one of the most common ones, because we all are going, well, this is my desire. If they're not fitting my desire, am I not normal? Like, is that a concern?
sure.
Because a lot of times after a child or something, women do just shut down.
Yeah, it's not abnormal for our hormones to change throughout. Well, generally speaking, all of our hormones change throughout the course of our lives. But yes, after having children, if there was any type of significant illness, if there was a provider trauma or something that happened that had a traumatic impact on them, like there's just so many things that could have a negative effect on your both desire, interest, willingness to follow through, ability to orgasm, all of those things.
Is that furries, Tom?
Yeah, you brought up fetishes, so I was just like catharodophilia.
Jesus. What was number one there? Was that the furries?
Yeah, it's big teddy bear.
Yep.
Yeah, furries are big.
Are pretty popular.
People like in
Sneeze
mucus.
then? Ew.
Ooh.
There's
Jesus.
somebody wanting to have sex with a tree, attraction to trees.
Actually, attraction to non-human or living objects is a really challenging.
Oh, really?
That one?
Yeah, that comes up.
A lot.
Not a lot, but it does come up for sure.
Come up. Here's these are just hard to pronounce, these Latin words. Autotenophilia, piophilia.
Yeah.
People wanting to pretend to be a baby.
Mhm.
You've heard that.
That's the better baby lovers.
Yeah, here's gerontophilia, people wanting really old lovers.
Geriatric.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Here's attraction to mannequins. That's what you were talking about.
Yeah, something like that.
So is there a correlation between the numbers of days they had sex and amount they're willing to do for their partner?
You're gonna have to ask that one more time. I feel like that was a little complicated.
It's like
Yeah, I'm lost.
it's under the basis that there's this new thing going around that women are rewarding their husbands with sex for doing housework.
Right.
So will a man actually do more for like in that situation? Will they do more work if they're being rewarded with it and having it held back?
That's how you train a puppy not to pee in the house. So
Because I was looking, there was a weird study. It's like, I'll find the proper name, but if you could go on that question, it's they're using sex as a reward to do stuff, and it's a specific name.
So the complicated piece about using sex as a reward is that you're taking some of the genuine and kind of spontaneous desire and want, desire, need, like
Chore play. That's what it's called. Chore play.
Took you. All right.
Sorry, I didn't write it down on my notes here, but yeah, I was looking at chore play.
So the hard part about that is that, if you take away that opportunity for sex to be a part of your relationship that doesn't have contingencies, then it can make the sex itself not as enjoyable for you or your partner. That being said, if that is a chosen, like you as your partner have communicated about, and you've decided that this is going to be part of your sexual world and that you're going to go in that direction with each other, it may be very pleasurable and it may be very motivating. I mean, if you think of the concept, like you said, about training a puppy, conditional learning has a lot to do with, you repeat a certain thing a certain number of times, and then all of a sudden that person wants, you drool because the food's there, right?
Well, I
Yeah.
make
Or the
dinner
bell gets
for
ring.
her and it. Ooh.
Right. So, the idea of doing this, if it's something that's agreed upon between you and your partner, and then that may be an amazing sexual experience for you two.
Sure.
It may work really well, and it may be very, very motivating for that partner to do the tasks. That being said, if it's something which I think sadly happens in relationships, and I want to clarify that this is not always that women are holding out on sex for their male partners. It can be males partners holding out on sex for their female partners, or same-sex partners holding out. Like it's not gender specific necessarily. Right. But the idea of using sex as a manipulation tool, I think it really takes away a lot of the genuineness and I don't know, the desire that piece that can make sex just amazing as is in and of itself.
Do you think all the sex talk is more open now than it has been in previous years?
I think it's getting there. I think that there's more understanding out there about sex and gender, that it's more understood. However, I still think that as a whole, as a society, we are way more likely to talk about sex as a joke than we are as a legitimate topic of conversation.
Sure.
We're more likely to make the comment about the stores that were dollar stores and pound stores.
Pound Town.
Pound Town, right? Like, that's funny. That's a joke, right? But the idea about it is like you're joking about the idea of having sex and making it like,
right.
And so the challenge with making sex into a joke is that when younger individuals, or even individuals that have been in a relationship for a long time, or possibly are now changing the fluidity of their sexual world or their sexual identity, it makes them hard to feel confident that they could go up to a friend, a family member, a partner, people that are close to them in their life and say, I want to have a serious conversation with you about how I'm feeling about this or what this means to me, because all of a sudden it's easier to say it if it's a joke, or it's like, that's something you shouldn't talk to me about, right?
You know what's really weird? I think it works for Jeff and I. I think if we had a sexual problem, we'd be more comfortable talking to each other's dad than our own dad about it.
Yeah.
Isn't that weird?
Not
if I had
really.
a sexual problem, I'd rather.
That's because Foz was just looking at you. What are you, some kind of fag?
What are you doing? Get out of here.
Fuck.
I'm gonna slap your mouth.
I'm sorry. I gotta say with all due respect, because that's just how your old man talks.
Yeah, but it's like you're right. You can't really talk about it with certain people in your family.
Or even in your friendships. Like I think about it, especially with men, and I generally don't like to be gender specific, but it happens a lot that bros, they get together, and you can correct me if I'm wrong because I'm obviously not a bro, but you get together, and if your conversation about sex is going to be a laughing, or a sense of accomplishments, a sense of like your value as a man is dependent on your ability to succeed in this topic, it's never going to be that moment that's like, dude, I just cannot come the same time that I could 20 years ago, and now she's expecting me to keep up with those positions, and I just can't do it. What the fuck do I do? Like, when do you ever have that conversation with a friend?
No, I think the closest is, bro, should I go to a doctor? Like,
this growth is a little concerning.
That looks infected. You should probably go.
Are you sure, man? Because I really don't want to go. I know bros have that where we just don't want to go to the doctor.
That is absolutely true, especially if it's something that has to do with your genitals. Like,
yeah.
Because
then it's like, dude, that's just red. But if I go to the doctor, they're going to say some weird fucking name, and I'm going to be on pills, and then it is something.
Right, then I have to own it. That's a problem.
Then it's official, man.
If I don't see it, it doesn't. If I don't know about it, it's not there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. We got any questions, or should we save them for the bonus here, Mo? Nobody's watching? Football's on?
Football's on.
That is the problem.
We've had people tuning in, but no questions.
All right. Well, thank you for all the questions that you allowed us to ask today.
Absolutely.
Tom told me you were coming on, so I was like, so I Googled questions to ask your sex therapist just to see.
What were the questions you got? Just out of curiosity.
Just out of curiosity? Because let's see here. So, first one was from the HuffPost. 10 questions you always wanted to ask a sex therapist.
Nice.
So then, get down to the questions here is, what was the most interesting, fascinating, weird case? Which I kind of asked.
Yeah, you kind of asked. There's some,
Christine Hazel Decker would have been one of your weirder cases. Her book's right there. She's going to be joining our podcast network.
Do you do live demonstrations in your sessions?
She has PGAD.
Yes, you had brought her up, I think, when we were talking once before. She would be a very challenging case to work with. Not because she's a challenging person, just because that diagnosis it's a really
rare.
hard
There's
diagnosis.
Like 10 or 12 people.
Rare, yeah.
What on earth made you decide to become a sex therapist?
There's like 3 paths in psychology you can take. Behavioral, neuro, and then the other one kind of stems into like child and what else would it be?
You mean like infant and child psychology?
Yeah.
Well, and so, I mean, I actually think there's multiple paths in psychology you can go into.
In UWM, we had like, you can get psychology degree. Here's your 3 classes that you
kind of directions you would go in.
That's what they gave us.
So I actually decided to become a sex therapist at a very young age. I realized, one, that there's something about my general persona, and you guys, if you can figure out what it is, please feel free to tell me. But people just feel comfortable asking me weird sex questions. Like, I remember being in like middle school, and I had a lot of male friends, and they would be like, "So, are blowjobs a real thing?" And I'm like, yeah, that's something that people do.
So you don't have that resting bitch face. So
that helps.
That helps.
I already had the surgery, so can you tell?
Yeah.
Looks good. So at that time, I was like, I really should go into a field where people can ask me those questions and feel comfortable with it, and then that will be a good support to the world. And then when I started to kind of investigate it more, the other piece that came up is, I don't have a lot of like, I don't know how to say this, sexual hangups, things that really make me uncomfortable, like things that I would not want to work with a client that had that particular issue or concern. I mean, as I've gotten older and processed it a little more, there's definitely cases that I probably might shy away from a little bit. But as a whole, I mean, you can literally ask me anything. And if I don't have an answer, I will continue to investigate it, but I will never make you feel like that question that you asked me wasn't valid, wasn't important, or was weird. Like, I can't believe you asked me that, you know? So that's, I just decided that I was going to go into the field that felt comfortable for me. So that's what I did.
Excellent. I'm just looking at some of the other questions too. Is my penis too small is one of them.
Oh, good. I already
course
talked
it is.
about
Already
that.
talked about that.
Do they ever show
My
you pictures like dude? You don't know. Here, look at it.
Luckily, I have not had any pictures so far.
Can you recover from an infidelity? Is one of them.
Yes. Infidelity recovering is hard, but it does happen. And I also think that the idea of recovering is that idea that you and your couple, like you and your partner's relationship, will be back to the way it was before. And I'm not sure if that is necessarily a realistic or appropriate goal, but you and your partner may be able to move on to a space where you're healthy, happy, and working well together and staying as a couple, like staying together. And sometimes recovering from an infidelity is truly digging down and combing through what led to that, what was the underlying reasoning for this. And so that may lead to them not being together anymore, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. That can be a recovery in and of itself. I'm sure that's not the question that the answer people wanted to hear.
Well,
but...
I'm just reading some of the answers because they do answer some of them, and
Yeah, comparing good.
yeah,
All right.
she's legit. I'm just saying.
I don't know. All right.
Dang it. I was just making all this stuff up, No, I'm just kidding.
Yep. Excellent. All right. Ghostbusters 3 is coming out July 10th. They're just skipping the all-female one.
That one never really happened.
Yep. Dan Aykroyd, Ernie Hudson, and Sigourney Weaver are returning.
No Bill Murray.
That should be interesting.
Not yet.
Not yet, huh?
These
No,
are just
Bill Murray's
on
got to
board.
be in it.
Well, Harold Ramis is dead and gone, so
Yeah, he's gone. Saved by the Bell is returning with Elizabeth Hurley and Mario Lopez returning as parents.
just fucking going back to the well on that one, huh?
Yep.
Have you guys noticed that all television and movies is just going through cycles and
Yeah.
eventually just all comes back?
I'm
We're
glad-
just old enough to
that worked
notice
for-
now.
No Zach Morris.
Because that worked for Fuller House so well.
He
too.
found out the
Right.
same way you're finding out. He was told. But his character is a governor of California, and he's shutting down. He's a corporate, corrupt governor that is shutting down low-income schools.
I think he's actually a really good actor. I liked him in Franklin and Bash
Well, why can't we get Dustin Diamond back? He lives 5 minutes from the studio.
because he can't leave the state.
Yeah. I should get a hold of him. Get him on here.
No.
You should try.
You don't want it?
No,
Come on.
I'll fight him in a bar.
He's got a knife. We found
kidding.
that out.
He did beat the shit out of Horshack, though.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
that
Trebek is
celebrity boxing.
undergoing chemotherapy again.
He's gonna lose that mustache.
So, guess what is bad for you now?
Cheese.
Everything.
Everything?
A daily low dose of aspirin. Found that out.
How is
Now,
that like?
That used to be good for you.
Yeah, it used to be for your heart. You were supposed
Yeah.
to take like a small dose
Right.
every day. and-
Now you're not.
No.
Princess Bride remake is not going over well.
I was going to say, I don't know if I even want to talk about it. Like, Princess Bride was such a cult classic that's been in our world for
They're
so
saying,
long.
why would you mess with a perfect movie?
Because
Right.
they fucked with every other good movie. Why not this one?
Yeah.
You know what I have a fear of?
Shitty remakes.
It's my own phobia. How did you know? Actually, Back to the Future. I'm just scared it's gonna happen. And
No.
Yeah, that's
Huey
another
Lewis
one they
is
can't
gone
do.
now.
is that the pinnacle character in Back to the
Huey
Future?
Lewis.
Every song is like
Who do you
Huey
get to
Lewis.
play Doc Brown?
Christopher Lloyd's still alive?
Yeah, but you're not gonna have Christopher Lloyd play Doc Brown
Why not?
because if you're remaking it, you almost got to do a total reboot.
Yeah.
It's not like Ghostbusters where you can do a third one and skip over the reboot because the reboot sucked balls.
You can't redo Princess Bride.
No.
I mean, you can.
Well, because part of the greatness of that movie was
They
how
redid
like
RoboCop.
cheesy awesome it was too.
Right.
Mhm.
Absolutely. The ridiculousness made it amazing.
Right.
And the problem too is like often when they redo movies, they want to put all of the special effects and things into them, and like making it actually look like it could happen
Right.
takes away from the how it's the ridiculous of it. Like the
Right.
rodents of an unusual size. If that actually looked like a
REOSs.
Could
or
you
whatever.
could you maybe do it where Fred Savage is the old guy you're telling the story
That's
to
how
a
you
kid,
would have to do it. His
like
grandkid.
his grandkid? Like now it's
His
Fred
son.
Oh,
Savage.
so now it's from his
Oh.
point of view
Yeah.
to his kid, and this is how it changed.
Yeah,
breeding.
I mean you could do something
Maybe.
like that. I think I would be so it's not technically a remake, but it's more of a sequel.
But I think these days, like if they tried to redo it with the same kind of cheat, it would seem like it was forced. Like, and
Molly had a
I don't
shit
know.
fit when she saw Dirty Dancing was redone.
I didn't watch. I still haven't watched it.
Yeah. And they were gonna remake Roadhouse, dude,
Why?
with Ronda Rousey as the bouncer
Instead
Why?
of Patrick Swayze.
instead of Pass. I don't know.
I mean, don't get me wrong. There are some remakes that were okay, like the new RoboCop, the newer RoboCop. I didn't mind.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm old, so I'm not real old, but I'm old enough that these
Don't touch
movies,
it.
like, just don't touch it. Like, I'd much rather, if I wanted to see Princess Bride, go and watch Princess
Like-
Bride, not a remake or a new
Could you
version
remake
of it.
like Breakfast Club in modern times now and have it be the same?
No.
No, you never could.
No.
Because rules change, life
Right.
changes, expectations change, and so trying to do that is just ridiculous. I will say this though: do you guys remember, or are you fans of the Evil Dead series?
Yes.
I
Okay.
like the
The TV
Ash
like
versus-
Ash versus
series.
Evil Dead.
It's just Evil Dead. It was pretty funny. Like,
Yeah,
I
it's
was
good.
kind of happy that they came when they
Okay,
came out with
but
Well,
that.
they kept the
The
same
remake.
campy.
Campbell.
They kept Bruce Campbell.
Right.
It
But
was
the
like an
remake was
extension.
completely different though, because they did do a remake of the Evil Dead, and it was actually a female. lead
I never
character.
saw the actual
Never.
remake. No, I
Okay.
just saw the
Ash versus Evil Dead.
Yeah.
So
There's
good.
a newer remake of the Evil Dead where the person playing that would have played Ash is actually a female character. It's actually not bad. It didn't get really good reviews, I guess,
Okay.
but I didn't mind it because it was. I don't remember if it was a sequel or not, or another one, but it was a completely different cast. Obviously, Bruce Campbell wasn't even in it.
okay.
And I
So-
don't mind like gender bending to like when we remake things. I think that can be kind of interesting and dynamic. But the hard part, Evil Dead was ridiculous because it was like claymation and the
Yes.
I
80s.
think you need to remake Army of Darkness.
Oh my gosh, this is my boomstick. I
No.
mean, yeah.
But I don't know who you can get to play Bruce Campbell.
He's still.
I know he's still around. I love Bruce Campbell actually.
I
Except for in
absolutely.
Briscoe County Jr., he sucked.
The very first Ash versus Evil Dead that we watched, and it's got just the cheesy and like he has the what is that one arm extension that
chainsaw.
they throw it across the room and he catches it and it's like a click.
Awesome.
Right, it's just fabulous. So in my younger years, I wasn't much of a drinker until I got into college, as everyone else is. But I had a good friend of mine that used to come over, and we would have Evil Dead nights. And the intent was to watch the 2 Evil Dead movies and then Army of Darkness. And we had a drinking game that went along with it. And that drinking game was that every time that you saw Bruce Campbell's eyes look like they were going to pop out of his head, that you had to drink. And being well versed in the Evil Dead movies, that is like every 10 seconds, right?
Yeah.
So every time we did this, we never successfully got into Evil Dead 2. We made it through Evil Dead 1, said, fuck it, let's watch Army of Darkness. And then we would put Army of Darkness on, like pause it halfway in between, go out on the front porch of my dad's house, sorry, Dad, puke off opposite sides of it, order some Chinese food, and go back in to finish the movie. Like, I have very positive memories of Evil Dead in my childhood.
I liked how they just went to Evil Dead 2, and it was pretty much the same movie. They just
Yeah,
Right.
said, we're going to do it again.
Let's just do that again and see what happens.
we're gonna call it 2 instead of a remake.
Right? Do you remember when he like drove up to the bridge to get out of there and the bridge looked like claw hands? And you're like, what is this? Like that? No.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It was released in 2013. Was the remake? Jane Levy was the main character, and Ash did not appear. He does a brief cameo in the post credits, but
Okay.
I guess maybe you guys are giving me more movies to watch that I can hate later.
Oh, we
That's
should
their
have invited
remakes.
you for a
Yeah.
Movies with Mark. We do a movie series here. Nutella's in a
Turbo
sticky
Kid?
situation. Turns out their nuts are being picked by children 10 to 12 years old.
Oof.
Ooh, not good, Nutella.
No.
But I love Nutella.
Yeah. That's because the little hands get the nuts a little better. And finally,
me sad.
Bridget the Midget is arrested for stabbing her boyfriend.
I read that.
What did she stab him with?
Hold on. Where do you think she stabbed him?
Mid thigh.
Leg. Yeah, she stabbed him in the leg. She's a midget, of course.
I was gonna aim for
the
like,
little
groin
higher,
area
yeah.
A little
maybe.
higher. No, stabbed him right in the leg, where she could reach. So
Like in mid thigh. Just like
she shattered his windshield, stabbed her boyfriend, and
how
guess
did she
there's-
shatter his windshield?
I don't know. I don't have the story. It's a speed rail, but I'm
All right.
guessing maybe you could save their marriage.
You have high expectations for me, but I could try.
All right, Jeff. Well, thank you for coming on Off the Rails. We're going to do an awesome bonus episode coming up here. Jeff, where can they find us?
They can find us at Off the Rails at Twitter at Off the Rails TM. I can't read. Facebook.com at Off the Rails. All of them are Off the Rails TM.
Yep.
Instagram.
If you can't find us, you ain't looking for us. We're
That's
on
true.
everything.
Jeff, are you wearing shoes?
I have flip flops.
Oh, okay.
I just, I'm
Just
getting
see
comfortable.
Your barefoot up on the table.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I'm getting comfortable. Don't. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
no
Use our
judging.
Amazon link. Sign up for Patreon if you want half off our excellent comedy show that's coming up here.
And
at the
email
Arts Mill.
Tom. Email Tom questions.
Yeah.
And-
OffTheRailsTM at
Yes.
gmail.com.
And thank you guys so much for having me. If you have
thank
questions that come in that people would like to ask me in the future, you can email or message them to me, and I'd be happy to follow up with some of those.
Excellent. All right. Well, thank you very much. Thank you. All right. Remember, universe, we are not good enough.
Thanks for tuning in, universe.